Here are my 5 essential jobs for March. March is a time when you want to be thinking about improving your soil. So it's now that I like to add a thick layer of mulch to my beds and borders. Mulch is an organic layer that you place on the surface of the soil in beds and borders so that there's a reservoir there as spring progresses to ensure that plants will continue to grow well. There are several different types of mulch that you can use. Your own homemade compost if you have it, but you might need to have left it for a year to rot down properly. The other option is different mulch materials in bags. Just make sure that whatever you buy is peat free. We need to conserve our peat bogs. A lot of them are labelled as soil improver. It's easy to handle and it also has nutrition in it, which means that when the worms take it down into the soil, they'll add it to your planting areas and benefit anything growing there. Another option is composted bark, which has the benefit of improving the soil but also works as a weed suppressing surface layer. When you're laying mulch, before you put it down, I always recommend adding blood, fish and bone organic fertiliser. It contains nitrogen, phosphates and potash, crucial ingredients for plant growth. I add a couple of handfuls around each plant. And then, using a fork, I add the mulch, trying to keep it off the crown of the plant so it doesn't scorch them. Aim for a thickness of 2 to 3 inches. Then you leave it to do its thing, and believe me, your plants will thank you for it. Next on my March to-do list, planting summer flowering bulbs. You should plant summer flowering bulbs in March because that gives them a couple of months to really establish their roots and grow lustily for the summer ahead. You can get lots of different varieties of summer flowering bulbs, like gladioli and lilies. I love planting them in large terracotta pots. Make sure you check the bulbs you've bought are firm and there's no sign of rotting or fungus disease. Then make sure your pot has drainage holes in the base and add some bits of broken pot to stop the holes clogging up. I then add multi-purpose peat-free compost with added John Innes. The weight gives them extra stability. Leave 15 centimetres between the compost and the top of the pots, so bulbs will have greater stability as they grow. I then add the bulbs pointy end up and far enough apart so that each bulb gets enough sustenance. Then I add more of the compost over the top and lightly firm it in. Remember to leave a gap between the top of the compost and the rim of the pot to allow for watering. All you need to do then is stay on top of the watering and you'll have glorious blooms right the way through the summer. My next job for March is growing my favourite flowers from seeds. By raising plants from seeds, you get a heck of a lot of plants for a very small outlay. You also have the satisfaction of knowing that you've started from scratch. And by starting in March, you've got 2 months ahead of you before you plant them out, in which you can really establish them and grow them on well. I like to lay out my seeds, pots and compost on a potting bench so I've got everything to hand. Then I fill small pots with a multi-purpose peat-free compost that's formulated for seed sowing. It's not as strong in nutrients as regular potting compost, so it won't scorch my new seedlings. Always check the seed packet for the right way to plant them. But for those seeds that need to be covered, I have a special trick. I tip the seeds into the clean palm of my hand and then tap it with my other hand to distribute them evenly. I then use a sieve to add a light covering of compost over the top, making sure they're all just covered but not too deeply. I then add a label and finally Submerge the pot in water until you can see the surface of the compost is damp. Once you've done that, the seeds are ready to go in the greenhouse or on a windowsill. Just make sure the compost doesn't dry out. Next job, planting early potatoes. If you love new potatoes smothered in butter, this is the perfect time to plant your earlies. Planting early potatoes now will give you new potatoes from mid-June through July. You can buy them in packets at the garden centre, and I like to chit them before planting. That's arranging them in a light, warm place so that the shoots begin to grow before planting. That way they crop earlier. I usually plant them in rows on my veg patch. First, I dig a trench, then add some soil improver before placing in the tubers about a foot apart. I then pull back the earth over the top. If your garden's small, you can also plant them in special potato sacks. Make sure they have drainage holes in the base and roll them halfway down. Then add peat-free multi-purpose compost and pop the potatoes in. As the shoots begin to grow, add more compost. You'll be amazed how many potatoes you'll get come the summer. My final task in March is to get a bit of instant colour, planting up a spring planter. Softwood planters are easy to order, and if you can handle a drill, well, they're fairly simple to put together. When it comes to plants, you can usually start picking up early stock from the garden centre as the month goes on. Plants like Erysimum, Campanula and Tiarella. I like to combine them with trailing ivy down the front, Carex, and alpines like saxifrages to create a striking early spring display. Give yourself a bit of instant pleasure with a spring planter. And finally, take some time to sit back and enjoy your garden. The soil is beginning to warm up. The shoots are coming and proving to us all it's been such a long wait, but spring is just around the corner. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. This is a growing community for people who know nothing about gardening but want to learn, and for those who are more experienced. So come and join us.